Hello and welcome to my channel Close to the Edge. My name is Pat. We'll be talking about all things prog rock, classic rock, heavy rock, and maybe, just maybe, a sticker rock. Stick around, you never know. Welcome along to my latest video. Thanks for joining me. And today's video is, we're moving on in the 70s to 1972. So these are 10 studio albums, must-have studio albums in my collection. Now I have more than 10, obviously, in my collection, but these are the 10 I picked out. Now, obviously, your ones might not be in there, but you can put them up in the comments. And I do appreciate all the comments recently. And all my new subscribers, thank you very much. New viewers for watching. Hope you watch this one as much as you watched the last two. Really do appreciate it. And I'm wearing my Canada, Vancouver shirt today because yesterday, the 1st of July, was Canada Day, and I have a lot of friends in Canada, and I hope you all had a great time over there. And also, I believe coming up on Friday is the 4th of July in the United States. I have a lot of friends over there. I hope you all enjoy it and don't drink too much, don't like we do over here on Paddy's Day, and enjoy it anyway. Enjoy the festivities and the celebrations. I hope you all have a ball. I really do. But anyway, let's get on with this. So these are 10, and I'm doing it as I've done the last two. When the first album, when it was released that year, up to the last album in the 10. So the first one in my 10, released on the 3rd of March. Jetro Tull, Thick as a Brick. What can you say about this? One track, parts 1 and 2. Obviously this is the book set. And there's no extra tracks on this. It's just a Stephen Wilson remix, which I think is fantastic. But what an album. I know they were kind of taking the piss with this in Emerson. But by God, did they take the piss. And one of the greatest progressive rock albums of all time. Absolutely amazing. Goes to show you, even though Jetro Tull up to then weren't really considered a progressive rock band, but when they did it, they showed that they could do it. What an album. What an album. The next one, we're staying in March, the end of March, 30th of March. One of my favourite, probably my favourite band, released this absolute gem. Machine Head, Deep Purple. What can you say about this album? Kicks off with Highway Star. You know, yeah, Maybe I'm a Leo on it. Smoke on the Water. Lazy, Space Truckin', and of course a lot of those tracks were on the brilliant live album, the greatest live album in my opinion of all time, made in Japan. But this is, what can you say about this? They at their peak around this time. That's a pity Mark II split up then after Who Do We Think We Are. It really is a pity, but this is amazing. Amazing. Now we're moving on to the next month, April. Towards the end of April, a very underrated English band brought out one of their best albums, if not the best album by them. And Melody Maker, a music magazine in the United Kingdom, voted this album of the year in 1972. I'm talking about Wishbone Ashes Argus. Just look at the cover. It's like, it is a precursor to Star Wars, isn't it? Basically. Cover designed by Hypnosis. What can you say about this? This is the original lineup, obviously, with Ted Turner, Martin Turner, Andy Powell, and Steve Upton. This is their peak with this album. You know what I mean? If Sometime World on this. Throw Down the Sword. Warrior. Like, it's just from start to finish. This is an incredible album. If you haven't heard this album, go out there online and get it. You can get it on LP, so be it. But the CD version is actually excellent because there's extra tracks on it. And there's a deluxe version as well. I think there's a double CD. And Analog Productions, I think, are doing a job on this at 45 RPM. I think it's out in August. Want to keep an eye on. Now, we're moving on to June now. 23rd of June. One of the greatest I always keep saying this, progressive rock bands of all time, and they're at the top table. This band are at the top table. Not sitting at the top. I loved this band so much. Emerson, Lake and Palmer's trilogy. Like, what can you say about this album? It's a fantastic cover. And a lot of overdubs on this album now. I remember reading Keith Emerson saying that they put too many overdubs and didn't play a whole lot of it live, which is a pity. Of course, a lot of the lads who are watching this, and lasses, who were around at that time, who are older than I am, probably saw him in concert in the 70s. But this is just stunning. Stunning, I think, from the beginning. What a track. What a track. Anyway, that's Emerson, Lake and Palmer's trilogy. So now we move on to July. And The Genius brought out an album on the 5th of July. Waka Chaka, a jazz fusion album. Frank Zappa. I always call him The Genius because he was a genius. Now this man was just prolific. He brought out 3 albums this year. He brought out Just Another Band from LA and The Grand Wazoo. Now the Grand Wazoo is every bit as good as I could have picked the Grand Wazoo. Another Band from LA is a little bit different. It's different than those two. This is pure jazz fusion. If you haven't heard this album, please go and get it because it's absolutely stunning. Stunning. Now we're moving on now up to September. And the next 3 albums are all released in September. So can you imagine in 1972 in September, on the 8th of September to be exact, and you're a huge progressive rock, heavy metal fan, right? Because I don't even think they were called progressive rock back then. But can you imagine when this was released, Close to the Edge by Yes, on the 8th of September, and you put down that on your turntable, you listen to the first track, Close to the Edge, turned it over for On You and I, and then the final track, Siberian Catro. It must have blown your boat, because this album still blows my boat to this day. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, albums of all time, irrespective of what genre. This one, unbelievable. So I said it's in September, so not so long after this, the 15th of September, another great English progressive rock band brought out this amazing album, Foxtrot by Genesis, with the amazing Supper's Ready Yours, the epic, like, unbelievable. And Peter Gabriel wore this red dress for the very first time at a concert here in Ireland, in Dublin, back in the day. But this is just phenomenal. Like, the amount of albums coming out, no matter what genre, in this time, 72, anytime in the early 70s, it's just the creativity. They were just putting out albums left, right and centre, and they're all brilliant. That's an amazing one. And then, towards the end of September, the giants of heavy metal, one of the creators of heavy metal, not the creator, a lot of people think they're the. I always throw a few other bands in there as well, like Led Zeppelin's first album, when you think about it, before a lot of them. But anyway, I digress. Black Sabbath brought out Volume 4, as I said, on the 25th of September. And again, brilliant. You have Snowblind on this. No, you have Changes on it. I'm not a big fan of that track now, to be honest. I know a lot of people like it. But other than that track, the rest of the album is actually absolutely amazing. Wheels of Confusion. Like, what an opener. That's unbelievable. Now we're getting down to the last 2. So we're going into October now. So not long after that album was released, a new band on the block from America, so after having different names going around since the late 60s, from New York. I think they're from New York. Yeah, they are New York. Long Island, maybe. That's where they're from, around that area. And they brought out their very first album. And I don't have this on LP. And I don't have it on CD. I have it on cassette. It's Blue Oyster Cult's debut album. Self-titled. This is absolutely brilliant. These are so underrated, this band. And after Frank Zappa, I love Frank Zappa. He's my group. Anything from America. He's my favourite artist that came out of America. But my favourite band to come out of the United States is Blue Oyster Cult. I thought they were underrated. I was going to say overrated. No, underrated. And this album is brilliant. If you haven't heard this album, for a debut album, if you listen to this and the next one, they are very, very original. I thought they were hugely original. And you can hear a lot of what was to come later in the decade, new wave and punk. You can hear a lot of it on this album. You really can. So if you haven't heard Blue Oyster Cult's debut album, go and check it out. What an amazing band. Absolutely stunning band. And the last one that came out in December the 1st, from an English progressive rock band, underrated like the previous band, but wasn't even anywhere near as big as Blue Oyster Cult. It's Gentle Giant Octopus with the Roger Dean cover. If you haven't heard this album, go and listen to it. It's absolutely stunning. And if you listen to a track on it called The Boys in the Band, and they're showing off on this to show you how good they are. And by fuck are they good. They are an amazing band. Amazing band. Now, this was Phil Schumann's last album with the band. And a lot of people think they lost something when he left. I didn't think so, really. But brilliant. Brilliant album. Anyway, that's the last one in my 10. Now, I have a few here that I could have put in, like Zeit by Tangerine Dream. Stephen Wilson's favourite album of all time. Of all time. And he says there's nothing happens on it. And there's a whole lot does happen on it. But it's just different and, unusual and innovative. And then I could have put in Focus 3 by Focus. I could put in Obscure by Clouds. I could have been Carasavari by Santana. And there's a few more I could have put in. That's in my collection now, mind. In my collection. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there will have different lists altogether and bands that I'm not into at all, but I'm still fascinated to see, and maybe one or two sometimes I might say, well, I might try and listen to them and see do I like them. So I might not have heard them. And I'm always open to new music that I haven't heard, especially from this era, especially from the 70s. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you're enjoying this series. I'm going all the way up to 1979, and I might go further on, depending on what I have in my collection. I should have 10 every year up to 79. Should. But we'll have to go through it. But anyway, one thing I always say then, it's nice to be nice. Always nice to be nice. And another thing, stay safe. Very important. And just again, in America, enjoy your 4th of July. Have a ball. And from me, Pat, here on Close to the Edge, until my next video, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye from me. Bye-bye.